Hello guys, welcome to another video. So we are basically in the middle of season 1 and the second part of the season will come on December 9th and where we will have a snowy version of Empire State map and few game modes, a pickaxe and stuff like that. But what we have to take from the December 9th is the information that one of you, I don't remember which devs say that, but basically on the 9th of December, with the second part of the season, they will start looking into vehicle balance a little bit more, and they say they are trying to rebalance the vehicle ecosystem in Battlefield 6. I'm making this video in order to provide feedback to the Battlefield studios and also to share with you what are my thoughts and what do I expect on what's coming with the December 9th patch and also the updates in the upcoming weeks and months ahead. This will be also a pretty good opportunity in order to talk what are the major issues that are plaguing the Battlefield ecosystem regarding vehicles and vehicles versus infantry and infantry versus vehicle gameplay, which I'm not gonna tell you, there are a lot. And in my opinion, as I said in a previous video, they are hindering the experience for everyone, not just to vehicle players, but everyone who's trying to play, for example, Conquest, Escalations, and even Breakthrough on some extent. So what is the current state of Battlefield 6 vehicle gameplay? Basically, vehicles are in the game just to look cool when they get destroyed. I'm pretty confident that was all part of the marketing campaign where they wanted to make a game that would have been appreciated by people that are external from the Battlefield franchise, but in the meantime still keeping the identity of a Battlefield game. What is the identity of a Battlefield game? Is combined arms combat, like together infantry and vehicle gameplay in order to win the game. So you need to have vehicles, but like you can clearly see there was not their priority to make like a fair and really tightly balanced experience in between those two parts of the game. So what they did, they made sure they were in the game obviously, and also they looked good and sounded good like during the normal gameplay, right? So for example, you can see like the first takeaway was literally the trailers that have been shown to us at the beginning of like single player trailer or the multiplayer trailer. And like you never seen like the point of view of vehicles themselves, but you just seen the point of view of infantries that were just running around in the map and just looking at like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 helicopters like crashing into the buildings and to showcase the crazy animations that they animated, which obviously they're great, and the destructions of the building. That said, does not really mean they don't want to improve on them. I'm pretty sure they just wanted to start in that way and then iterate on that in the upcoming months. I'm maybe coping, I hope I'm not coping, but I believe there's seriously still some love into what made Battlefield in the first place. So I'm not really completely blaming them to release the game in this state, because it obviously is the most successful Battlefield game in the history of the franchise, which is great, don't get me wrong, it's a great thing. But now I think it's time to close it up and try to make the experience as best as possible for everyone who is still like playing and will keep playing in the long run. In order to make all of this work, what they did was approaching the glass cannon design, where vehicles are on paper really strong, they have a lot of damage output, but at the same time they are pretty easy to take down, and I think that's not a great philosophy into balancing. Like, combined also with the tight map design, you don't really have a lot of space to maneuver and have a pretty consistent understanding on what you're doing and what are your surroundings. So for example, the Manhattan Bridge map, we have this really small close quarters like map layout, and also you put in them like attack helicopters, which is it's crazy in my opinion. Some people are comparing it to Siege of Shanghai in BF4, but it's not really the same thing, because on that map you had a tighter playable area for infantry that also were surrounded by taller buildings where you could reach the top of it, and you had way more room to breathe for the attack alley. And also consider that on Shanghai you had the sea skyscraper, where if you got control of it, you were able to gatekeep basically the enemy attack alley, giving your team's attack helicopter like some time to put damage into the ground. But it was not that frustrating, because at the end of the day, like on that map you had like so much cover, and the lane system was pretty decently made, that you had this situation where you had two sides, the US side of the map and the Chinese side of the map, and a big flag in the middle. And also that with the river in the middle, you literally streamlined the fights of, we were talking about the attack helicopters. I think the interaction between the both air vehicles was way better than what we have on Manhattan Bridge that is compared to Siege of Shanghai. Okay, also don't forget, if your team cannot get back the sea flag, you could just throw down the whole building and just reset everything. Also, I'm not a huge, like a disclaimer, I'm not a huge fan of BF4 maps design, but they're far way more better for vehicle gameplay compared to the BF6 ones. Another offender in this regard is the new Sobek City map, where we have attack helicopters in it on Conquest, but I still don't understand why would they do that. The map is so small, and it just makes no real sense, because the whole gameplay loop is just to stay literally next to your base and just spam rockets and 30mm from your gunner. And I don't know, bro, it just makes not so much sense in my opinion. Like, the only explanation I have for both like Manhattan Bridge and New Sobek City having attack helicopters is that they were supposed to have the Little Bird in them, but in the middle of the pipeline of development they kinda realized the Little Bird was not like a good fit yet, and they switched it up. They wanted to put the Little Bird at the beginning, but then they said no, we're not gonna release the Little Bird at release, so we have to have at least 3 or 4 maps on the vanilla map pool. So they just opted into putting attack alleys instead of putting nothing, because they were scared of the community complaining that there were not enough vehicles, and so it was not a real battlefield. But even if we had a Little Bird at release and it was in those 2 maps, we still have a major issue on the entirety of the game, which is the map design and the map size. Maps are simply too small to accommodate vehicles that behave like they are right now. I'm giving you an example, like the jets, okay? Let's talk about jets for a second. The jets in this game are the fastest jets we ever had in the franchise history. I'm not sure about like BF2 because I never played it, but for sure they are faster than BF3, BF4 and 2042. So like, we have the smallest maps in the history of the franchise that have the fastest jets in the history of the franchise. Like, I don't know, man, like why would you do that? Like, it's kinda counterintuitive, and it's also, I believe, like a symptom of the crazy lock-on range, which we will talk about later. And I don't know, bro, it's like an oversight that makes no real sense to me. So what are the main takeaways from all of this? Basically, the air gameplay is inconsistent and feels really disconnected from the map flow, and also it brings confusion into the community because they see the vehicles being really powerful. They get killed a lot, don't get me wrong, people are getting killed a lot by vehicles, even though they're pretty weak on some level, and it kind of brings to them the idea they are OP, but in reality they are not, and it's just really inconsistent. So now we are gonna try to dive a little bit deeper into what are the main issues and what I think will be the best solutions moving forward. For starters, what I would like to see is Battlefield Studios start listening more closely to the part of the community that has invested most of the time playing and mastering vehicles in the franchise. Not because I want to be elitist, but as I said earlier, the majority of the player base, they don't even realize what are the problems, what are the issues, and they kind of overlook the problems that are causing them frustration. Okay, they're just not, they don't have the enough expertise in order to pinpoint the problems, and they might see some like frustration point that they're receiving like in a completely twisted way. So let's start with map design. We can all agree that we cannot really do much about the current maps and how they're built, but we can definitely work around with how vehicles behaves and what are their armaments, like the damage values and the speed of the vehicles themselves, the responsiveness of the vehicles, and everything that is part of how you play the vehicle itself. For example, all vehicles basically, so helicopters, tanks and IFV, they are equipped with the tow missiles, which I love. I'm a tow enjoyer. But when there are too many of them and they are as easy as they are right now, it makes the experience kind of random. And what I will do is to remove the tow from the MBTs and just keep them to the IFVs, and obviously to the attack area as well. And also the tow should be tweaked, like all the tows, even the stationary ones, should be tweaked a little bit. They should be a little bit slower and a little bit less responsive, because right now it's really easy to land on it, on not just helicopters but also to jets and tanks across the map, because there is not so much cover on the map, especially like for example on Mirak Valley and Operation Firestorm. Right now the tow has I suppose it's got 1200 meters range, which is crazy. It's like the whole map plus half of the map, for example, for Firestorm, which is crazy. And yeah, it should still one shot, but it should be a little bit more rewarding to land those hits. And yeah, remove them from the MBTs. I don't think they place that well on that vehicle. I remember on BF4, like landing tow hits were really satisfying. In this game you just feel nothing because it's just really easy. So I kind of want to bring back the skill into the mechanic, and it should not be as spammy as it is right now. And it will improve, like just by picking it a little bit more, it will improve the experience by a lot for everyone. Another big issue for map design, we can combine it as well with the tow problem, is the fact that we have the base AA in both headquarters that is literally intercepting all the incoming fire rockets, basically, like mostly rockets. So tank shots, tow missiles, bombs from the jets, heavy rockets, light rockets, all the rockets. Not the bullets, like the 30mm cannon from the attack heli gunner. It goes through the base AA, but it's just intercepting everything. If we combine with what I said earlier, with the tow, how easy it is and how fast it is, and that the range it's got right now, basically you are promoting like a really, I don't want to say toxic, but you are promoting a really bad behavior into players, that if they see they're kind of struggling, like pushing it a little bit into the map, they just stay in base with both IFVs and tanks, and they're just perma protected by the base AA, and they're just spamming tows across the map. I cannot count the matches I've played where there was 2 or 3 tanks or IFVs literally in their base just spamming tows across the map, like playing the anti-air role better than anti-air itself. I don't think that's a great mechanic, that's a great way of playing the game, and it ruins the entire flow of the matches. What I will do about that is to maybe move the base AA really closer to the airstrips, for example on Miracle Valley and Operation Firestorm, and make it so the range of interception be really lowered and basically facing not the middle of the map, but just protecting the actual assets that are in your base. So by doing that, you are kinda not allowing people to camp in, like for example on a hill that is still in your base, but you have free range on the entire map. I don't mind the mechanic of the base AA that is in place right now, which is basically made to protect people in their spawn, but I don't think right now it is kinda it's pretty bad. Tied to map design, but not 100%, is how you interact with the vehicles. So basically how you move inside them. This is literally connected to the glass cannon design, where vehicles are pretty clunky to play, but they are really powerful with their armaments. So what I will do is to disconnect a little bit from the glass cannon design and give a little bit more room to breathe to vehicles when we are talking about like pushing into flags and do like some more aggressive maneuvers. For example, tanks, they should have acceleration a little bit turned up, brake a little bit turned up, because right now it takes forever to brake. The turret speed should be a little bit faster, maybe with the optimized handling like perk, but boosted up a little bit also the default values. For helicopters, you should have way more responsiveness when you're flying like a high speed. And for example, when you fly backwards with the heli, like your controls are completely meshed up altogether and you don't have a great feeling. So for example, you're going backwards at a certain speed, a pretty fast speed, and if you try to yaw, that is just not responding like properly, and you basically lose all the control and you cannot aim, you cannot do anything. So that's not a great feeling. On the other side, on jets, I will do the opposite. I will just reduce the speed by, I don't know, like right now you can reach, I believe, 510 kilometers per hour or whatever is the value, where on previous games the max speed was around 400. So I will just kinda tune the speed down by a lot, by, I will say, yeah, just go max 400 kilometers per hour, and improve a little bit the yaw responsiveness. And I think the roll is fine on the jets. The roll is fine. It's just the yaw is kinda unreliable. On the other side, obviously, if we are buffing the maneuverability, we have to counterbalance the power of vehicles themselves. The general idea is to reduce the damage output by a lot, I would say. So you're promoting like a more aggressive playstyle to vehicle players that will eventually go into difficult situations where they have to express their skill in order to survive and do as much as possible. This is a really important point I'm putting out right now, which is the skill expression, where basically right now there is no skill expression into the game because everything is kinda dumbed down and made so everyone is almost capable of playing almost at the same level of everyone else if we're talking about vehicle gameplay. And by rebalancing, as I just said, so you increase maneuverability and you decrease the damage output, then you will reach a point where only the good players will kinda be effective, and in this way you are also making so people will be like, now if I want to be really effective, I need to learn how to play the vehicles, right? That does not mean that only good players will be able to get crazy kills and stuff. I mean, they will eventually do that. Like right now, really experienced pilots and tank drivers, they still go 100 0, 80 0, like them. That doesn't matter at all, because we will find a way to, I don't want to say exploit, but to take advantage of the mechanics that are in place, but it's just not satisfying for us, and it's not satisfying for the enemy players. Obviously, if you play more aggressive after, let's say, you rebalance all the mechanics, then you will have more chances to die. Because another point is, if you give more maneuverability to vehicles, they will push more into the flags, and obviously there should be ways to counter this, like increased maneuverability and this increased aggressiveness of vehicles. So a full pass into counters has to be done. For example, RPG speed, RPG damage, and stuff like that. Even though I would say that right now, the armaments that are available to infantry players are pretty in line with the new less glass cannon design, because RPGs are crazy fast and mines are crazy powerful as well. Don't forget about stingers and the AEA that we will talk a little bit about later. But I'm not saying that it should be like it is right now, so it's just really we have to see what actions they will take into rebalancing, and hopefully they will adjust the counters accordingly. Another big issue that right now is in the game and is directly connected to what we just said is the readability of vehicle gameplay and the counters as well. I will throw up an example, which is the air radar still not working to this day for both jets and attack helicopters, and that's like a big one. Because right now, I haven't talked that much about jets, even though I'm a jet player, but right now it's not. Like, the jet gameplay is all over the place. I'm not a big fan of it. And as I said, like a big part is that we don't have a functioning aim radar, which is fundamental for jet gameplay. You move really fast with the jet, you don't have a really much time to look around you, except when you are in free look. But if you're in free look, you cannot maneuver your jet anymore, so that's when the air radar takes a big role into awareness, situational awareness, and dogfighting. I don't understand why it's not working still. Probably is something to be related with a 3D map, because this game, yes, has got a 3D minimap, it's not 2D. So maybe there's something wrong with the code that is not working, but this needs to be fixed ASAP. Like, just remove the 3D minimap to the jets, put a normal 2D map, and make the air radar work. Also, if they're not gonna change the speed, they should increase the range of the radar as well. I don't know exactly what is the current range of the radar, but it should be at least 600 meters radius, or make it so the radius is the exact same range for the lock-on missiles, for the heat seekers, for the jets, and the tow range, or the maybe, I hope, TV missile coming up for the attack heli. So the air radar is basically the same range as the TV missile, and that's like really important, because you need to know where the jets are coming from. And right now it's just not only working, but also the range of the radar is really small, so you're kinda left without information. The same thing goes for the attack heli. Even though it is a perk that is available in the heli, it's not like on by default, but I can see myself, I also played a lot in the past with the air radar perk also on the attack heli, so I can see the enemy jet threat or even the enemy attack heli where it's positioned and adjusting accordingly. Pretty connected to that is the entire mechanic with the lock-on missiles, the range and the damage, which is all over the place right now, and I believe is in place like it is right now in order to like follow the glass cannon design. Like, for example, the mobile AEA, its seekers range is like 800 meters. The Stinger range is, I don't remember exactly, but it should be around 600 meters as well. And you guys don't forget, the maps are at most 800 meters, which is Operation Firestorm and Mirak Valley. And like it makes no sense because the moment you take off, you're already being targeted by everything. Also, the below radar is not working great. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's not really intuitive because the below radar does not work when you are getting painted by the laser designator, like the soft and it's not really reliable because when you're painted by the soft lamps, like you only hear the lock-on range, like the painted alert, and then you're painted for 20 seconds and you don't even know. There's no indication that you're still painted. That needs to be changed a little bit. I will explain how next. The range of lock-on missiles is so high, most likely because of the speed of jets. But that's not like a good excuse to make them so high, because I understand the jets are fast, so you need more time to lock them, and the moment you see them, you try to lock them, they're already out of range if the range of lock-ons were like shorter. But it just makes no sense because the maps are so small. You can basically lock everything like in their base, and I think it's all interconnected. All these issues are basically interconnected into... I'm blaming the speed of jets, guys. I'm sorry, like just turn them down and reduce the range of lock-ons because it makes no sense. I hope you understand what I mean by that. It's just makes no sense. Like, helicopters are not as fast as jets, but you can lock them in the base, and then obviously in order to fix that, what they did was enabling the base AA that is intercepting like Stingers and AA missiles. Guys, just reduce the speed of the jets and make this work, please. A quick way to reduce the pressure to air vehicles and also to ground vehicles on some stand right now is to change how the laser designators works, so flams and stuff like that, in a way that more in line with the past Battlefield games. So right now the softlam works that once you get the painted lock on your target, the target stays painted for 20 seconds, even if you lose the lock, obviously. In previous games you needed to hold the lock for how much you wanted, and your teammates were able to lock with guided missiles only if you were actively painting the target. Now, as I said, you just lock them once and they will stay painted for 20 seconds. I think that's pretty bad because it doesn't even give you the sound cue or any visual effects that is telling you that you are painted. It just gives you for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then the alert disappears from your HUD, but you're still painted on, like, which is really bad. On previous games, yeah, you had the possibility to lock painted targets even behind cover. In this game you cannot do that. It needs to be in line of sight. But regardless, since there's not so much cover, I think that 20 seconds without any warning is it's pretty bad. Also, when you're painted, the below radar does not work. So if you are in below radar and you're painted, you can get locked by everything, like regardless, and also that's pretty bad. Like below radar, I don't know, actually, maybe yeah, it should working like that. So if you're painted, below radar does not work, but it's just 20 seconds is just too much. Now we take a brief look into the vehicle availability into maps as well. Right now you have too many vehicles on some maps that are really small, and you also have vehicles that does not really fit into those maps. For example, as I said previously, that's Kelly on Manhattan Bridge and on Sobek City, and also jets on Blackwell Fields. One of the smallest maps, but it's got jets, whatever. When the whole rebalance happens, then we will have to see how it plays out. But when the Little Bird will be available in the game, I think they should really consider switching up vehicles across all the maps. For example, the Little Bird should be on Sobek City, should be on Manhattan Bridge. I mean, that's not 100%, but I think it's a better fit. Right now, if we consider that all vehicles has got access to tow launchers, and what we said previously, I think the pressure on infantry and vehicles themselves is too much and needs to be looked on 100%. I think they should reduce the amount of vehicles on some maps. There are like way more things to say, by the way. We are just scraping the surface of the vehicle ecosystem on this game, but this is just some rambling thoughts I had on how to start at least going in the right direction into a new way of looking into vehicle gameplay in this game. This like we could go in depth with numbers and damage models and stuff like that, but this is not the right place to do that. So what are our main takeaways from this? The air gameplay is really fragmented, is really inconsistent, and is actually frustrating at most times. We have a lot of issues with lock-on ranges, AA capabilities for infantries. The air radar, bro, it's crazy how air radar is important into air vehicle gameplay. The tow missiles are really problematic. The flight model of helicopters mainly is really bad. And also the vehicle distributions across all maps. From the 9th December patch, I'm not expecting like a revolution, but what I would like to see is a small step at least into the right direction. We have many seasons to go because, like, as I said, this Battlefield game is the most successful Battlefield of all time, so I'm kinda hoping and I believe as well that this game will get support for at least 2 years, and hopefully we will be at one point where we reach a good place into vehicle gameplay and also combined arms gameplay, which is the most important part of it. I generally hope DICE and Battlefield Studios consider like a more skillful way of looking into vehicles. The main motto should be easy to use, hard to master, like it was in BF3 and in BF4. Vehicle gameplay should reward positioning, awareness, the skill obviously, and game sense. But at the same time, it needs to be pretty easy to take from a new player perspective. And it should also bring new players like some sort of challenge in order to make them comfortable into thinking they can improve in their vehicle skills, right? So I'm sorry if I was a little bit disconnected. This was, as I said, a pretty random video with my thoughts about what's coming on December 9th and what to expect in the long run. So yeah, tell me what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe for more, follow me on Twitch for live streams, and I'll catch you on the next video. Goodbye, Jesus, yeah.